Hey everybody, welcome back to my kitchen. My name is Michelle, and as you can see, we've got some tomatoes going on over here. I've got tomatoes coming out my eyes, guys. So, today I'm going to do what they call the hot pack method. But first, I've got all my tomatoes washed, and I've got water boiling. So we're gonna put them in there for a minute or two. I'm gonna pour some ice. I've got an ice bath sitting right here. And then we're gonna get them peeled. And then, we'll go on to the next step. So I pulled out 5 quart jars. I don't know if I'll have enough to fill all of them, but I know I can only do that many because that's what fits in my canner. So let me just kind of bring you down here a little bit and bring you in. So hopefully you can kind of see what I'm doing. So I've got 2 different utensils. I didn't know which one was going to work best. So like I said, I have washed these. So we are just going to pop these into the boiling water for, I don't know, 1 or 2 minutes. You can usually see when the skin splits. So basically we're doing this to be able to peel our tomatoes so that then we can get ready to cut them. So I'm just going to let them sit for a bit. Let me just move you back here a little bit, and that way you can kind of see. I'm going to put some ice. All right. Like you can see on this one, see how the skin is cracked? So then we're just going to stick it in cold water. And obviously the smaller the tomatoes, the faster they split. So some people do cut them. So I might try that on the next batch that we put in. Just kind of like cutting just enough width so that the water, I guess, can get in there, I guess is the point of it. So make an X. I don't know, we'll just try a few. I'm just gonna make a line. Like I said, the small ones seem to split really easy. All right, so this spoon seems to be working pretty good. And a lot of times they will, once you put them in the cold bath too, they will, they'll split. And I'm just going to give them a little poke. And that way I have a little spot that started, because it doesn't take much to peel these. All right, let's get this big behemoth out. And you want to do these in small batches, guys. So while these ones are in here, I'm gonna let my water come back up to temp a little bit. I will show you how to peel, and then I can get that done off off camera. So you're not just watching me do the whole thing. All right. So then once, and I have a bunch of cherry tomatoes that I'm going to pop in when I get ready to put them in the hot liquid. So I just peel the skins, and I'm going to keep the skins to the side because I am going to dehydrate them to make tomato powder. Like that one hadn't split, but it still peels really easy. You just have to get a little section started. So we're just going to do that, and then we will get ready to move on to the next step. I'll just finish these since my fingers are all tomatoey. So if they're not split, you just make a little hole in the skin and they come right off. And then we'll cut out, you know, like we'll core them and all that in a minute. So right now I'm just getting the skins off and getting them into the and then I'll just put these skins in a bowl. All right, let me all right. Now, these should be ready to take out. So in the cold water just stops them from cooking and makes it so you can handle them. Like I said, we are going to do the hot pack method, so these are going to all get cooked. So that's not that big of a deal. But I just want to be able to get the skins off. All right, so hang on here. Oh, slide you back. So I'm going to get the rest of those all peeled, and I will get them decored, and then I'll come back and show you like the next step. Because I think these ones I'm going to cut up smaller than I did my first batch. So yeah, I'll show you that when we come back. Let me get the rest of these done. It's not going to take long. I've got like 3 or 4 big tomatoes left, so it's not going to take us that long. I'll be right back. Okay. So what I did on these big funky ones is just cut like that big thing out, and like when they had this on the bottom, I just cut that completely off, and if there was like a, you know, a yellow spot, I just cut that off. So I've got these, so I think I'm just going to kind of quarter them, and And like, that's a little bit of the core, so we're just gonna cut that out, as you know, because these weird shaped ones are hard to, you know, so they're all just like chunk size. And then we're just gonna bring these to a boil and simmer them for 5 minutes. And then we're gonna put them in our jars. I've got my jars in my water bath canner, heating up. They're all washed, ready to go. And I want to save as much of this juice as I can. And if there's a spot and I just don't like the way it looks, I just cut it out. You don't want to have any bruises or anything like that. All right. And I am going to throw in cherry tomatoes in this mixture. And I'm not peeling the cherry tomatoes. All right, let me get my scraper. So this isn't a hard process. It's just messy. Now you can, if you want to do the cold pack, you can just take your tomatoes just like this, put them in your jar, do your lemon juice and salt if you want salt, pack your jars, but then you have to process them for 85 minutes. So the other method that you can do is you just boil hot water and you cold pack your jars, and then you fill the jar with hot water. See, like this one here has got a lot of light yellow, so I'm just gonna cut that piece right off. And then I'll just take the core. So yeah, the other one is you just put hot water and then you wipe your lids and you put it in. So there are several different ways, you know, that you can do tomatoes. I don't have a pressure canner yet. I am hoping to get one by next year. And I also am hoping to get a freeze dryer, because that just looks really, really cool. I'll just cut it in half. It'll be a little easier to core that way. I'm just chunking them. So I did get my doors done in my kitchen, so my kitchen is finally done. So if I can remember, I will show you that. I mean, some of these tomatoes were ripe. Like, I'm like, oh my gosh, I gotta do something with these tomatoes, like, now. So what has everybody been up to? We're getting down to the end of summer, which is sad. We shut our pool off yesterday. Because even though we're having some hot days, our nights are getting like in the 50s. So my pool water is in the 60s. I'm like, yeah, that's too cold for this old gal. I am not going in 60-degree water. And then, of course, I mean, these will break down a little bit more once, you know, we get them cooking. So the last time I did these, I didn't video it. And I had my 5 jars. And when I put them in the water bath canner, I thought I heard a funky noise, but I'm like, well, it is what it is now, you know what I mean? So I let it get up to temperature, and then it boils, and then all of a sudden I have tomatoes floating on the top of my water in my bath canner. So I'm like, oh, okay, one of the jars, you know, must have cracked. It happens. So I took it out, and I was blown away. The jar itself was completely upside down, but the bottom was blown off. But the cover was on the bottom. And I'm like, how can that happen? Because there's not even enough room in my canner for like a jar to roll or flip over. So you know, of course my son and my husband, are you sure you didn't put it in upside down, Mom? I'm like, no, I didn't put it in upside down. I grabbed the jar lifter, so yeah, so I don't know. So we'll see what happens with these ones, because I don't know. That was a little strange. All right, we only got a few more here. I'm just taking that green stuff off because I don't want that. All right. Last ones. All right. So let me get this mess cleaned up, and I'm going to move you over to the stove to start the next process. Okay, get everything cleaned. I've got my tomatoes in here, and my cherry tomatoes are all washed, but I did find one, I think there's one that still has a stem on it. So I'm just gonna double check as I put them in that there's no stems on them. So I'm like, I didn't find anywhere that you could do the cherry tomatoes like this, but that's what I'm doing. So we'll see. So oh, there's the stem. It was a loose stem that was in there. I knew I had seen one. All right, there we go. Because I am sick and tired of all the vegetables on my counter. I'm like, you know, with tomatoes, you got to wait until you have a decent amount to, you know, get them done. So we're going to let this come up to, when it starts to simmer, I'm just going to turn this down to keep it at a simmer for 5 minutes. So I'll be back once this starts to simmer so that you can see where it's at. And, you know, we'll just kind of give it a couple of gentle stirs, and then we will get ready. I'll get my canning stuff, my jars out, and we'll get ready to do the next step, guys. Okay, guys, I almost forgot a step. So now we have to add water, just enough to cover the tomatoes, which isn't a lot because we've got all that juice in there. So you can see. So it said just add enough to cover all the tomatoes. So that should be good. So yeah. So, and I poured hot water because I didn't want to cool my water down too much. So I'm going to pop a lid on it just to kind of get it up to temperature. And I'll be back and I'll show you the simmer, and then we'll turn it down and time it for 5 minutes. Okay, so it is a really slow boil. So I'm going to set my timer for 5 minutes. Now you can see it's just a gentle, and I'm just going to periodically just gently stir them. And then we will be back on the next step. Okay, guys, so they are done. I just lifted my jars out. They're hot. I'm going to put my hot glove on. And I'm going to grab my ladle. Guys, I try to get prepared. And as you can see, wardrobe change. It's, yeah, like 90 out all of a sudden. I'm like, are you kidding me? All right, so we are just going to, oh, nope, before I do that, hang on. Can you hand me my book, hon? So before we add anything to the jars, and this is the book that I'm using. I got it on Amazon. I will link it in the description. So for the quart jars, we need 2 tablespoons of lemon juice, and I am gonna put salt, and that's gonna be 1 teaspoon of salt, not iodized. Use the canning salt. All right, so I need a tablespoon and my teaspoon. All right. So 2 tablespoons of lemon juice, and I am going to do all 5 jars. I think I think I'm gonna have enough. In fact, I think I'll have to make a few more.
Yeah. That shut her up.
1, 2, 1, 2. Can you pull that rubber stopper thing out for me, hon? And I'll do the salt. So, and it's 1 teaspoon of salt in each. So you don't have to put salt if you don't want. We're a big salt family, so I figured this will make it easier trying to pour it versus
Squirting it everywhere.
1, 2. Much better. Thank you. Whoa. 1. I'm going to go a little light on that because I over poured.
Not you.
1. Yeah, not me. All right. So we have all our jars ready now. So now we can put our tomatoes. So when I did it the other way, I found like there was a bunch of clear water at the bottom by just pouring it over. So that's why I chose to try the hot pack method this time. And I'm just gonna go to the bottom of the rim. So yes, we will have little bits of tomato skin from the cherry tomatoes, but it's not gonna matter, not in our house.
We still have 1,000 on the vines.
No, it's like, oh my gosh. So I'm hoping to get enough to do, I had made some salsa. I thought I recorded the whole video and apparently I didn't. Because when I went to upload it, I could not find it anywhere. So, oh, I guess I am gonna have just enough to fill these. Which is good because I have cucumbers soaking in the fridge to make another batch of bread and butter pickles. So I'm starting to get to the point where like, okay, enough garden.
No, there's no such thing.
Oh, I should have plenty of cowboy candy because I just did 2 double batches and I'm just adding a little bit more liquid. Oh lordy,
Now I know why they taste like kerosene.
they don't either.
Put the fluid to it.
All right, let me get my other spoon thingy. Try to get a little bit more fruit in here. So when you use this, you can either you you know, just strain the tomatoes out and use that. I will have to drain some of that. I overfilled like a little bit. I'm just trying to make sure I can get enough, because I don't have enough to make another jar, that's for sure. So I will just make something with what's left.
A ground up salsa, or whatever they call it.
Yeah. All right. And we gotta debubble, but I can already tell that one's a little high. So this is a debubbler. So basically you just want to put it in and just kind of move it around. When there's a lot of liquid like this, you don't get a bunch of bubbles, but just to be on the safe side. And then a lot of times when you do this, if there is a big bubble, the liquid will go down. Dropped a tomato. And then you just add a little bit more liquid, but like I said, with these, don't usually have too much of a problem. All right, so now we want to measure. It says leaving a 1/2 inch of headspace. So on this tool, you can see there's little numbers. So that middle one is the 1/2 inch. And I am good. I'm good on all of them. And I think I'm gonna scoop a little bit of the hot water out, because the last time it was like right to the rim. So you just want to wipe your sides around the edges. That's why this heat glove comes in really handy. I had these when I was doing sublimation tumblers. So at least you can, you know, hold your jar and move it. All right. And my lids are all washed. Just pop these on. Finger tight. So basically, when the jar starts to move, you stop. You do not want them tight, because whatever's air is in there needs to come out. And when we take these out, these covers will be very loose. So just so you know. All right, so I'm gonna just pop them. Oh, no, I said I want to take out some water. Hang on. And then I will just set this beside it in case I need to add it back. All right, I'm just gonna turn that on, and that shouldn't take long to come back to a boil. And And I'm gonna switch over to my rubber Pampered Chef one, so that way if the water does touch my fingers, I don't get burned. Because I'm very klutzy, ask my husband.
No comment.
All right. Down. There you go. Okay, all the covers are facing upright. Just so you know. All right. So now we're gonna leave that in there. We're gonna bring that canner back up to a boil. When it is a full boil, we need to boil it for 45 minutes at a full boil for tomatoes. So tomatoes are one of those where the acidity level isn't quite, there, so it needs a longer processing time. Like I said, if we would have done cold pack, we would have had to do it for 85 minutes. I'm like, yeah, I don't want my stove boiling for 85 minutes, so 45 is enough. So I will bring you back when it's time to take them out of the canner and set them on the thing and show you what they look like. I'll be back. Okay, guys, so this has been done. I let it sit for 5 minutes. I took it off once the timer went off. I let it sit for 5 minutes. And now, let me get this cover off. And we are going to get these out onto our towel. All righty. Oh, let me get my rubber mitts on. So hopefully you guys can still see okay what I'm doing. I'm just going to lift these jars up. I had no tomatoes floating this time, so I did good. I had no catastrophes. So this is what they look like when they come out.
Yeah, I think you need to stop doing that.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep that jar separate, and I'll have to use that one right away because I don't know. Oh Lordy, it's been a long day, guys. And I've still got my bread and butter. That one looks much better. See how that's fuller? That one didn't have as many tomatoes in it, I think is what it is. So I have got 5 jars of canned tomatoes. All right, so let me first bring you up here. Holy stamoly, guys. So that is the worst part of doing tomatoes, is that processing time. Because it's 45 minutes that you really can't do anything else because you've got to stay close to your pot. So, but I'm going to be making a bunch of them because I have like hundreds of tomatoes that are, I have maybe 5 or 6 that are like a day or two and they're going to be ready to pick. And then I have a ton more that it's just going to be a never-ending battle. So what I'm going to do is these skins, I am going to put these in the dehydrator. I have got 3 heads of broccoli. So I'm going to cut those, blanch them, and then I'm going to put them in the dehydrator with the tomatoes. Either that or I'll do potatoes. I'm not sure.
Probably both.
It depends on how many racks. I have 12 racks in my dehydrator. So I don't want to just run it for like 2 or 3 racks. I want to fill, if I'm going to do something, I want to fill the whole thing. So, but before I do any of that, I have got pickles or cucumbers in my fridge that now I have to get ready to process those.
For bread and butter.
For bread and butter pickles. So that will be the next video. So stay tuned for that. If you guys have any questions, don't hesitate to put them in the comments. Please like, share, subscribe, turn on the bell notifications. I'm trying to grow this channel, and they're changing all the rules by February. So I need to have at least 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours. So if we can get this channel, guys, to 1,000 subscribers, I'm going to do a giveaway, and it's going to be something good. I've been thinking about this for a few days. I don't know exactly what it's going to be yet, but it's definitely going to be something worth your while. So please help me grow this channel, and we will have a huge giveaway when we get to 1,000 viewers, guys. Alrighty, that is it for today. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. I do read all the comments, and I try to answer every one of them. Alrighty, guys, have a fantastic day. Bye.